All right. Hello. Welcome everyone back to another happy hour show. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, gentlemen. Cheers.
Oh, rum and Coke has not tasted that good in a long time. This is the best I felt in a couple weeks. Just dealing with clearing out the vid and whatnot. But anyway, much easier the second time.
Oh, jeez.
Yes, you're surrounded by OGs, sir.
They're playing music now. Ooh, we got Yingling. Okay, I guess I can have a beverage. Look at that. That's customer service right there.
Motley Investor is coming to us live. Where are you at, sir? Tampa?
Yeah, Tampa. So if you guys are in the Tampa area, Crypto Sparbuck have their workshop going on today. So come by. We already probably have about like 30 people in this place, but yeah, it's pretty cool. So if you need the address, it's on freedomtv.info. Just go to the event that is today in Tampa, and you'll have the address there. It's free to come. I think they're going to start their workshop in like an hour. Right now, it's just like social hours, so everyone's coming in, hanging out, talking. Cream's doing cream things.
Nice. We also have Wave3 down here. What's going on, man?
Good, yeah, it's a good Friday, so I'm enjoying my day, and I'll be trying to onboard a few of my old coworkers for my last job. So
there is no try, sir. There is no try.
Yeah.
There's only do
or do not.
Only do.
Yeah.
There is no try.
Yeah. So,
tell him, Yoda.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's other, aside from other crypto holdings, there's other discussions that are going into that. So, onboarding them into crypto, no problem. And then I will be sitting down with them to see if they actually have an interest in working alongside on projects that require smart contract tooling. So that's going to be sort of the meat of the discussion now that we're getting closer to PulseChain. So, so I'm looking forward to it. And for now, I'm just enjoying my day and then meeting up for that dinner session later.
Nice. Well, it is also a very interesting landscape in the overall scheme of crypto, I guess, and look forward to you looking at some charts with us later on, because there's like a lot to look at, I think, right now.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah. D-Fed, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Yes, Marion, we are back to a regular happy hour show. Happy hour. Let's go. I know, Red Squirrel. I always enjoy reading the comments in the green room. Was not doing my makeup, but thanks for the concern. Do I need it? Yeah. Nice start to this long evening of Hex streams. So with that being said, we did have the old HEX Virtual Conference last night. We'll be talking about that here shortly, but first, while we have everyone here, and perhaps Motley can find a spot away from Kareem, a nice quiet place, would y'all like to do a little trivia action?
Absolutely.
Crank it up.
Let's do this. We'll see if Motley is able to find a place where he can participate. All right, so trivia is back. Plenty of diversity in addition to the normal "Do you know your Richard Hart" Twitter. But participants, this is my reminder for you to please turn off your interfaces, go to private chat, and for audience participation purposes, with the exception of the first round, because we like to get you out of it, take your time in answering. I'll try to repeat each question. Participants, are you ready? Motley Investor, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm like hanging out, drinking by the bathroom, just to be quiet. Feel like a real winner right now. Everyone's out there having a good time. It's like, all right, let me go scamper away to do trivia.
All right. Well, we'll make this one quick.
No, don't give me hard questions still, though. No, thank you.
Well, the first round's always easy. Yesterday, the second annual HEX conference, virtual conference, kicked off. Who's the host of that event?
Maddie Allen.
All right. He snuck away to the bathroom to say Maddie Allen.
That's
yes. Big K. He
Yes, sir.
The PulseX SAC is underway. On what date does the rate increase by 5%?
I believe it's the 11th is the date that it switches over to the new ramp up style.
I believe you might be off by a day, sir.
Well, no, he
Well,
said
it's
it.
the-
No,
like the
he said
11th
it starts on the 11th. Yeah, he said it.
So
weird, but
technically, it could be.
yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
we'll
Your
let you
time
go.
zone, too.
I thought I was wrong at first. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh no, I guess that's technically correct.
Yeah, but technically, it is correct.
I was gonna ask about that because I was
Yeah,
thinking
it's
it
all
depends
good.
on the rollover.
You know,
It's
first
round.
round.
If
First
this was
round.
third
First
round, I'm out of here. I get it.
All right,
Get
I
him
got
out of
you.
here.
We got
Get
you.
him out.
Wave 3. What is the most sacrifice coin for
Hex.
PulseX?
Hex. Don't
And
you ever
DFed.
forget it.
Fed to the nearest 100 million. How much USD has been sacrificed so far for PulseX?
Total USD, you were saying?
Total USD nearest 100 million. So you have plenty to play with here.
Oh, geez.
Uh-oh.
I know. I know.
I'm going to go ahead with just, I don't know, we'll go 300 million.
Bye, David.
Don't always make it out
That
the first
was-
round.
he definitely got the
Not
hardest.
everyone.
one
Yeah,
by-
that was the hardest out of all of them.
That's
but,
an easy one because it's been tweeted like every hour pretty much by
bro,
everybody.
we're busy. We're busy
Chat's
these
all
He's
days.
deep
over
in
it.
the server. He's deep. He's got his mind on the servers.
Yeah, he's trying to be a
People are-
validator. He's trying to support our
All
chain, sir.
right.
Right. That was
Sorry,
like a
D-Fed. We'll
round-
bring you
that was
back
a
as soon as possible.
Round 2 question.
That was rough. That was rough. All right, now the host is getting it. All right, there we go. Hey, Motley Investor.
Hi, Cabana Crypto.
What is the second most sacrificed coin for PulseX?
Oh shit, that's easy. I was just making sure, and then I remembered who's in first place right now, so that would be Ethereum.
All righty.
I was like, is it USDC or Ethereum? I was like, oh wait, Godwell. Yeah, Ethereum.
All right, thank you for spoiling the next question, Motley. Okay, moving
That's
on.
what I do. Can't give Big K the easy ones.
No, I'm not gonna give Big K that one. I'm gonna skip that one.
Oh,
So, yeah.
come on.
You always get the multiple choice and like true and false. It's about time you get something harder.
All right. Big K, earlier today, Richard Hart tweeted, how long will hex.com be on the front page for blank this time? My guess, 15 minutes. What is blank? I'll repeat it one more time. Earlier today, Richard Hart tweeted. Earlier today,
All right.
Richard Hart tweeted,
Attack on Mars.
how long will hex.com be on the front page for blank this time? My guess, 15 minutes. What is blank?
Well, blank would be, I believe this is a coin ranking site that we all know of as CoinMarketCap. And he was wrong. We were on there for a total of 5 hours. We were up there for a long time. Somebody should fire that guy.
Yeah, we'll hire him
Or
though.
give him a raise. Yeah, we'll hire him. We'll give him a raise.
We'll hire you. You're,
No vapor
you're either
diets.
you're
Not
either
Pornhub.
bad at your job or you're a hexagon. 1, 2.
Wave 3. How much Ethereum did Godwell sack for PulseX?
All right. All right. I'm doing some math right now because I think
Is that cheating? Are calculators allowed into trivia?
all right. There's no that would be
You're not gonna get the you're not gonna get the number if you don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna get really close. So.
You gotta get okay. You can get close, but you're supposed to get.
We're looking for
to
a
the
particular
Ethereum.
number.
Oh, you're
But
looking for a particular.
Let's see how close he gets because clearly he
Yeah,
doesn't know
yeah.
the
I do
magical
want to
number.
see the math work out here. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got
All right.
this.
Okay, I already know the answer. It was 10,000 ETH.
Nope.
Oh boy.
Get him out.
Answer is 77.
7
7 7
7
7 7 7 7 7. Everybody got
Yeah, that's
sevens.
It's kind of a number.
It
It's
is
a
a
thing.
number.
Big fan.
It's a
It
thing.
is.
That's
You know what's funny? I
my
wonder if
fave.
the wallet in third place right now has been sacking nothing but like sevens on all their numbers lately, and they keep climbing up. I wonder if it's a Rackham wallet or not. He's like playing around.
Quite possibly. Was it ETH?
I don't remember. I think it was
Okay.
in terms of hex. I think it was like 7,777,000, stuff like that. I think.
Gotcha.
I don't know.
Word. All right. Well, fancy seeing you two co-hosts here remaining in trivia. So it's the best of Motley Investor versus Big K.
We just had to outlast the guest. Rigged.
Sorry. Motley Investor.
Yes.
Earlier this week, Richard Hart tweeted, in honor of Blank's 13th birthday, bring it some adoption. PulseX.com. What is blank? I'll repeat it one more time. Earlier this week, Richard Hart tweeted, in honor of Blank's 13th birthday, bring it some adoption. PulseX.com.
I've been really bad with my Richard tweet lately, so hopefully that's not too many of the questions. But I'm gonna assume Bitcoin. Excuse me.
It is the corn.
The corn, the bit of corn.
I mean, now that was a solid, easy. We were balancing things out here, kind of question, third round question. So just
It got your approval.
Process
if
of
we're gonna put it on
elimination.
the board, just saying. There's like nothing in this entire space that's 13 years old besides Bitcoin.
Yeah, makes it easier question for me. Thank you, Cabana.
All right. Big K, earlier this week, Richard Hart tweeted, if anyone has any bug reports for blank, paste them here or direct message them to me. What is blank? Earlier this week, Richard Hart tweeted, if anyone has any bug reports for blank, paste them here or direct message them to me. What is blank?
Glad I didn't get that question.
I'm pretty sure this was the PulseX Sacrifice site. I'm pretty sure, but I'm not. But I might be wrong, and I might be out of it, and Motley might be just.
That'd be sweet. I can go right back inside.
Is that your final answer, Big K?
I hate when you say that.
Yeah. Do it. Don't cheat. Don't you do it. He's stalling to cheat.
No, I'm not. You can see my hands here. I'm just trying to think about it.
Hand
you
check.
can even see the screen in my eyeball here. It says this is
those nice LV glasses.
Yeah.
I really like that. I really like those actually.
They're really cool. And honestly, these were really hard to source. I got them from someone in Asia that like went and shopped for me at a store in Singapore to like find these glasses at like the last place that they had them like in the world.
I saw them in one and then never again. Like I saw it one time. Yeah.
And like I've seen the gray fade ones and like the black ones, but like the green to purple like this, good luck.
Yeah, it's like if Hex and PulseChain had a baby.
I want to say it was the Pulse Info Sacrifice site. I wanted to say that.
Was that the final answer?
That's his final answer.
Just end me here.
Get him out of here.
The correct answer is PulseX.
PulseX,
not the website. Not the sacrifice.
Not like PulseX itself. Okay, fair enough. I thought it was, but I don't know why I was like focused on the sacrifice. Get me out of here.
Good job, Motley Investor. Are you ready?
Yeah, it was like a half-hearted win, but I'll take it.
It was right. He got the question right. It was PulseX.
No, he said like the PulseX website, not the. I
said
coin.
PulseX Sacrifice, so it really wasn't right because didn't say PulseX itself.
Yeah.
I wasn't talking about the get.
All right, audience.
It's
chat.
You fooled the host, so let's just keep going.
I was gonna say chat and vote.
Let's keep it going.
I thought you got it, but yeah.
I like it. I mean, I felt like I was
brightest.
I like him just fine.
Now
I'm great, Big K.
And this is how I get. This is how I get a hard question.
Kick is good. All right.
Yeah, they just like trivia.
Up to the audience. Yes, correct. We count
Yeah,
it. You do not have one fan. Kick him. So, just to satisfy our audience. Okay.
And he's back.
All right.
Everyone wins here on Cabana Show.
He's like, bye, ciao. All right. Motley Investor, earlier this week, Richard Hart tweeted the phrase, blank for life has a special meaning to me. What is blank?
Blank for life.
Yeah, earlier this week, Richard Hart tweeted the phrase, blank for life has a special meaning to me. What is blank?
I'm going to go with a complete guess and say it's Hex. Because what else? What other crypto can you hold for 15 plus years?
All right. Well, if we gave Big K credit on the last one, you get it. It's technically Hexagon, but
Hex, Hexagon. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
we
that's
are
fair.
we
That
are
work.
one. We are
there
one.
you go. It's a wash.
All
It's a
right.
wash.
All right, we're washed. Back on.
All right, Big K, special one for you. Earlier today, Richard Hart tweeted 420 million just for you, blank. Who is blank? Earlier today, Richard Hart tweeted at someone 420 million just for you, blank. Who is blank?
I mean, I don't know, man. I know it's for freedom of assembly and movement. You know,
Use
that's
the
what we're
Big
doing
K
this thing.
deductive reasoning.
That's what I'm trying to do here. But who is you?
Everyone knows if you caress the beard, the knowledge just drips out.
420, 420.
I don't know this one. 420 million just for you. I mean, PulseX for sacrifice for I don't know, man. I'm struggling here.
I don't know. So
5 seconds,
sorry.
Big K. 5 seconds.
Is he talking at somebody online that he was talking trash to?
It is a person, not necessarily
It's a
trash.
person.
Oh, so we just give
so,
hints
like-
now. Okay.
I said who. I said who is blank.
Yeah, it's fine.
I mean, not Satoshi, not
3,
I mean,
2, 1. What is your final answer, Big K?
I don't have one, man. Just
All
give
right.
it to
Well,
me.
D-Fed, do you know this answer?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question?
He's working on his validator, Brad.
Earlier today, Richard Hart tweeted 420 million just for you, comma blank. Who is blank?
I have no idea.
Really?
Satoshi?
All
I mean, I would have just said
right.
Satoshi.
Do you know Wave3?
It's Elon Musk.
The answer is Elon Musk.
All right.
Motley Investor. Hold on. I have to formally kick Big K. There we go.
Okay, there we go. There we go.
Motley Investor, you are this week's winner, and you get to address the audience. Feel
Sweet,
free.
let's go. All right, guys, that was a lackluster win on my part, but I'm going to take it because I think I'm behind the 8 ball when it comes to wins lately. So cheers to you guys. Happy sacking. If you haven't sacked already, you might want to do so. Running out of time. That bonding curve is a bitch when compounding interest works against you. So hurry up, sacrifice for PulseX, and yeah, enjoy the rest of the show. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. good
Cheers.
sir. A fine win.
Yes, yes. I'll take it. It wasn't pretty, but I'll take it.
It was not pretty.
We all
We struggled at the end. Yeah.
We've been busy. We've been busy. Yo.
Man.
Wales is a big fan, Motley, just FYI.
You suck, Molly. Love you too, bud.
Oh, man.
Yeah, sack and chill, Miss Exquisite. Sack and chill. So that actually ended up being, we talked about this the other day. We had a happy hour with Dave Levine, but just to touch on the beginning of the sack there, it turned out to be the right strategy, right? It was just sack and chill, just like last time within the first day or two. Pretty much it was the first 3 days last time. This was like 24 hours pretty much.
Right.
Yeah. It would be great if the chart continues to look similar to how it did before, which would mean we'd probably continue on a downward trend towards the end of the sacrifice phase and then do the erupt into the right thing after that.
Yeah, so I asked this on Wednesday. Do we think this is going to be another instance of like this sack phase is like 47 days long or something like that. Are we expecting just kind of like sideways this, for the next month and a half?
I thought about that for a little while, and like at first I expected it to be, but because the bonding curve is moving at a 5% rate still, I mean, like the price could appreciate more than a 2x in that time, and still may be really difficult for someone to overcome, the previous whales inputs. So I don't know if we have to bleed out so far for so long as we did last time. Maybe a little bit less, or maybe just the same amount of time, just not all the way through the whole bonding curve.
You know what we did after that bleed out though? After the sacrifice phase was over, we freaking took off like a rocket. So
That we did.
Yeah.
Take advantage of it, right? Like maybe it's too late to sack because compounding interest is a bitch when it works against you, but take advantage of the hex opportunity. Buy more hex during the bleed. It's a good time.
Yeah, if you like circle the 2 times like the previous sacrifice versus now, I mean they do have similar,
Here.
Very similar.
Right here.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we can like find a little leveling out kind of thing here, but yeah, as Motley was saying, like once that process was over, it was off to the races like no other. It was just amazing actually to be a part of that. So hopefully more delayed gratification on the way. Wave 3 oh, go ahead.
I could really see that happening, especially if there's any further delay and it's more than a week or two between sack phase and
Patrick says hi.
Patrick says hi.
Hello, Patrick.
Everybody.
They say hello.
Hello again. Who we have here? Who is that?
So we have Wave 3 TV.
Patrick
We got
is
David
there.
Feder. We
David
got Big
Feder.
K. We got
Yay.
us, and then some host guy. I don't know. He does stuff.
I hope Patrick, you're feeling better. Everything is fine. Or no, that was somebody else. It was Patrick had some issues with flights and so on.
Oh, yeah, Patrick. Way
Yeah.
to bail on Miami. Jeez. Yeah, no, I think he's good. I think it's good.
All right.
Thanks, Patrick.
Yeah. Hey,
sorry,
DFed.
Big K.
I was gonna say DFed question for you there. But yeah.
Are those DVD players behind me? No, they're Dell servers. And this is actually a green screen. So
Well played.
Secret talent.
Yeah.
Wave 3, did that
Sure.
beginning of the sacrifice kind of go the way you expected?
Hold on, Big K. Hold on, or Big K, Cabana. Hold on. We got another guest. Big
Hey,
Pep, just shut up.
you're in Big Pep's town.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
Terrible here.
Yeah, so Big Pep just got here.
What's up, Pep?
Yeah. They all say hi.
Great
Hello,
seeing you,
sir.
They're all
buddy.
blurry to me without my glasses on. So I know Cabana because
You're all blurry to them because they've been drinking, so it's all good.
They got better.
We just got started. Come on now.
Oh, okay. We got Wave Feder and Big K. Can't even see who that is.
Wave 3 TV down there.
TV.
Yeah.
What's up, guys?
good to see you, Pep. Good to see
What's
you.
up?
Good to see
Hopefully,
you,
I'll
sir.
see
Good
you
to
there next month, buddy. I'm gonna
Cool.
try to get over that way.
What's that say?
He said he hopes he sees you there next month. He's coming up that way.
Oh,
Cabana.
Cabana?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I met Cabana once before. He's really cool dude.
Yeah, he's all right. He's all right.
Oh, thanks, buddy. Thanks.
Yeah,
Appreciate
but
it.
he should be out here in like a month or so.
Nice.
Cool. All right, sorry, had to interrupt. All right, back to it. Back to the scheduled programming.
Yes. Alan, thanks you for your answering that question, DFed. But yeah, anyway. So I think Wave 3, I was asking you, just did it play out kind of as you thought so far? I mean, we're only, I guess, 8 days in or whatever, but
Yeah, absolutely. So, whoever sacrificed early on, well done, congratulations. Same exact pattern that played out as last time. The price wicked up, I believe, briefly up to anywhere from 32 to 35 cents. And I
there
did
was a
see-
small legion of folk that
Yeah,
sacrificed. Yeah.
There
Yes,
was-
good wording, sir. A small
Yeah.
legion.
Yeah. Very smart legion of folk.
very, very smart legion. and,
Dump
They learned from last time.
in.
They learned
Yeah,
from
no.
last time.
No, it's seriously like very well done on that, because that was just a very, you have already a multiplier with the bonding curve, right? So why would you gamble the multiplier. So now that price that's locked in, that 31 cents, boom, that's now above somewhere between 60 to 70 cents probably with the multiplier. So it's just absolutely killed it on that. So
Huge.
So now, there's still time, obviously, up until the 10th. The problem a lot of people face, I guess, when trying to get the perfect entry. Oftentimes, the perfect entry
sack
or the perfect stack, a lot of that ends up being an illusion. But then those that are more conservative about it, which there was some obviously very early on, are now basically they have the biggest piece of the pie, and that just goes into good risk management and just sort of acknowledging sort of the factors where you have a nice bonus initially. Why would you gamble that? And then now from days 10 or days 11 and onward, there's now that bonding curve that works against you. So and because we still are before day 10, there's a bit of chop on the 4-hour chart. So, it's going to be relatively choppy over the next couple of days. And then I think it'll get pretty interesting after that after the initial bonuses start to sort of wind down. So days 10 and onward is where I'll start looking back at things on the price chart. But I would say at least those that sacked early, there is kind of an incentive to protect some of those positions. So I believe there was actually liquidity added between like 25 to 33 cents to help sort of dampen any potential like upside on the chart. So there is going to be these, there are certain incentives that bigger players can play that do have the economic mass to do that. But we'll see what happens after the 10th. And basically congrats to anybody that's basically stocked for PulseX. Like the upside is going to be really ridiculous for both Pulse and PulseX in 2022. So even if you haven't stocked yet, just make sure you do so at least, before the 10th, get your position in. And then the upside is going to be pretty insane, in my opinion, over the next few years. The timing is actually glorious because now it looks like we're entering a potentially a very drawn out, just a drawn out bleed out right now across, Bitcoin and ETH. That just gives more time for Pulse to really start to emerge in the next wave. So I'm excited. I'm very excited.
Let's see it. DFED, how did the old sack start go in your eyes? Kind of as expected, or you just expect something different?
I kind of expected it, and that's why, to be honest, as soon as Richard announced and it was live, I went big for myself. I put in the majority of mine, and I also was with Motley. So yeah, I wasn't playing no games. I even know some people who I talked to, and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna wait to see if Hex goes up."
Oh boy.
Okay, you go play that game. And I always rush to sack personally. I did the same for PulseChain.
Rush to the sack. That's it.
Yep. Don't be afraid. Get right in there.
It's the only time you'll hear that from us. You get one.
That's what she said. Okay, so where'd I go? We started talking sacks and all that. But anyway, yeah, 166 cents. Yeah, that's not gonna happen maybe for a couple months, but I would love to see it in a couple months.
After sack phase, maybe.
Yeah,
you're waiting for it on the sack phase. Don't think so.
Yeah, and I don't know if I was in the blue room after last show or not, but of course, Richard, I guess, announced it, and my guess is it was kind of like a bit in haste because the ads were already on Nomics, and it seemed like just rather rushed. And of course, I'm like going out to dinner, and I see like the announcement, and then I see like the bump up in price, and I'm like, come on, let's gotta get it in, gotta get it in. And I was like, oh man. So that was a quite a fun couple of hours that evening for sure. And then of course, you still had time all the way through, I guess, the next morning. Still a decent entry, but after that, kind of the bottom fell out there. So.
No, I mean, there was no other option for me to do but sack early. I was going to enjoy myself for New Year's somewhere else, away from my, computers and keys and all the things that are important. So, I was like, there was no other option, And then I get to Miami and immediately break my phone into a million pieces, and then there was no. I was just like, all right, thank God I was sacked early because I'm just out. gone. So yeah, that was. I mean, make a move when you have an opportunity, people.
Yeah, and what's very interesting here as well, at least publicly, like I think we're all expecting on one big player to still come in who hasn't. So it's kind of, I don't know if it's by design or they just their strategy didn't pan out as to perhaps they thought like a price rise was coming. Not that it really matters, because I think we all think it's going to take the number one spot. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But Motley's point of that, I guess, number 3 wallet
is ever going to happen.
Really?
I'm wondering if that's ever going to happen.
Talk about the OA.
No, he's talking about Rackham. I'd be very surprised if Rackham doesn't come in.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he's too. I love the guy, but he's too prideful to let that number one spot go in. And I don't know. It's interesting. I've seen some wallets that have acted during the sacrifice that may or may not be linked to him, just with some of the actions that he's doing. But obviously, I don't have any proof of that. And I'm curious to see if we see a large sack and if number one gets taken over by Rackham or not. It should be interesting. We're all kind of watching. I think pretty much the last opportunity you see of that is maybe at the end of January 10th before the bonding curve starts. Otherwise, doesn't make sense after that point, really.
That's what I was about to postulate here. Is like, what if we're seeing this situation slightly in reverse? So if you missed the very beginning, I'm not saying like this is actually happening, but why not add a ton of liquidity like Wave3 was saying, pin the price, so to speak, and then perhaps like on Sunday or whenever the 10th is, that liquidity gets removed to the upside, and you can manipulate the price. That's about the only way I can see of like saving, a higher, I guess, TWAP. That's, I'm just thinking out loud here. But then you run the risk of somebody selling into you. So that's the problem with doing that. But I'm just throwing that out there. Any likelihood anybody could see that happening, or no? Just fun chat.
No, that's fun. I mean, that's that's the only reason why to wait. I mean, otherwise. Unless he's sitting entirely USDC, I mean, but like even if you're sitting all ETH, I mean, it's been a painful past 10 days, so I mean, I just show me the money.
X19 got a good price for his XRP sacrifice. I listened to him last night on the HEX Virtual Conference. Speaking of, let's just chat about that for a minute. Any favorite moments or moments that stood out for you last night? Obviously, mine actually was HEX19. He's here in the chat, and he's a frequent viewer of this show. But that was probably one of my favorite moments of the entire thing. Actually, to see his face, I know it was like a recorded video, but we've heard his voice before. But it was just good to see him smiling and talking with Maddie, and I just enjoyed that conversation that they had. But I guess go around the room. Motley, did you have any favorite moments from last night? Aside from when you were on, of course.
Yeah, that was clearly my favorite time was when I was there. I mean, honestly, that was my wasn't for me though. It was just hanging out with the boys, right? Like it was all of us just goofing around in the green room
with this backdrop.
Yeah, like Maddie trying to corral all of us and no one was listening.
The private chat, it was fun.
Yeah, like private chat, like Maddie was going and we're all like messing with them. Like I just like that kind of stuff. Like we just had a good time. It's always good when we're all together and hanging out, streaming, meeting, doing these live meetups. Like this is what I enjoy, right? And I think I said last night, like this is my second family now. So like anytime we can get together, whether it's streaming or in person, like it's always a good time. So like I just enjoy hanging out with Hexicans. It's literally like it's my new like hobby is just to go around and hang out with Hexicans. Like what the Crypto Sparbuck guys are doing, like I love this. Like I think I'm addicted. I've done all the Florida events and I might just continue to fly around the country as they continue to go on. Like why not? It's so much fun. I enjoy it. Like even now, like I kind of want to be out there, like, but and hanging out with everyone, but yeah, do the show real quick, and then there's time for that afterwards. And then I have to rush back and get to my panel, which is first thing. And like, I don't know, I have to leave here like around 7, drive back to their house and get set up to do my other panel. So it's just constant back and forth, back and forth. But yeah, hanging out with everyone was a blast. That's what I enjoy, honestly.
Big K, how about you?
Oh, you stole all my good. That was what I was gonna say. I enjoyed.
That's what I do. That's what I do.
I know. You do a great job. Yeah, hang it. As soon as we popped into the green room, I was in a good mood and enjoying myself with all of our crew. You know, like every bit of that was super enjoyable, and getting to, you know, like again, it's sure it was my moment to, you know, when I was on, but like I like talking about the movie and him showing that trailer too is fun and badass. I've been like enjoying being a part of this entire little, you know,
still pumps you up every time you see it.
Yeah. The Muse people have been posting some cool stuff on Twitter, Instagram, and everything too with what we've been doing, and that was awesome too. So I've been feeling that. So like I enjoyed watching Crypty Girl and Nardo and everybody right after us too. They all that panel was super fun too. Yeah, that was a fun day. I remember it made me think of last year's conference and how much you know, the good time we had. I actually went and watched that the Hex Rewind that X Cadet did. I was like, oh yeah, this is lots of fun. I remember all this.
Wave3, any favorite moment from last night's first night?
I would say I would say there wasn't like any, I guess that I never really thought to that extent. There was a couple, there was like some segments with like Bit Finesse. I would say
that
I
was
probably
good
got at least, I would say probably that was a good segment. So I think I got at least like half the stream, so I'll probably just say that. I'll probably just say the one with Bit Finesse was cool. So
nice. DFed?
I mean, overall, I thought it was fantastic, right? I thought every segment had its merit and was good. Like, you know, it's high quality, man. Like, this is some amazing shit. Like, what other cryptocurrency community is doing this? Nobody, right?
Yep.
Like, nobody. So, and shout out to Maddie for putting it on.
Mm-hmm.
Me personally, you know what gets my FOMO pants on fire when I watched last night?
Oh, what?
Is the Crypto Sparbook Power the T-shirt presentation. Did you see that last chart that they had in that presentation? The column that shows how much hex you're going to get per T-share in the future. It was almost like 96 hex per T-share in like 10 years, 15 years. Like, oh, dude, those numbers are ridiculous. So, yeah, man, that blew my mind. Even me as an OG, I'm just like, holy crap.
Yeah, and they always bring the game too, because last year was just amazing what they did, and this year they didn't disappoint either. So it was really cool to see once more. I mean, it doesn't get old really, and how can it get old when that nice pour there, Big K, when the chart is that glorious there as the grand finale. So yes, sweet finesse. What's up, Hexter Morgan? Hola. I did see. I think it was Ewok who touched on a point that I actually have here on cue. Yeah, so there has been 23 million in ETH converted to USD in the last day or so. That is from the Godwales wallet, and I've been noticing that. So I find it really interesting because this guy is obviously, you know, he's been around since the beginning of Ethereum. And so if we look here at the transactions, look at these 1,000 ETH, and then it's all just getting converted to stables in USD.
I think I know why. I bet a guess.
I would love to hear a fun guess, DFed. Why do you think this is?
So he's stacking USDC, and he's going to hold it for the fork for PulseChain, and then he's going to get a copy of all that USDC on the other side after the fork. I bet he's, you know, I bet he's had enough of ETH and he wants to spread his bet a little bit.
So you think that he has that much confidence that USDC is that copy is gonna kind of hold peg?
Well, you gotta think
that's a big risk.
You got two things going on here. You could be looking at the charts and realizing that ETH probably has more downside coming in the near future. So I mean, like, let's take Hex out of the equation entirely. This guy could just be deciding that like he's enjoyed his ride with ETH, but is ready to start protecting against the downside. And then on top of that, if you're gonna have Ethereum turned into Pulse on the new chain, and Pulse, we were able to sacrifice it for what, like well under a tenth of a penny. So you're kind of taking the guess that a copy of USDC is going to be worth more than a tenth of a penny. Somewhere between a tenth of a penny and a dollar is, anywhere in there is a better deal than just holding on to your Ethereum, which you're worried about downside risk on to begin with. And, you think that maybe, even if USDC on the new chain is worth 5 cents or 3 cents a piece, that's still insanely better for the moment than and then you've got a lot of capital sitting to potentially purchase up more PulseX, whatever on the new, and ready to go on the new chain.
Yeah, I mean that copy element is just kind of fascinating, really, because he has so much Ethereum that won't be worth anything pretty much on the PulseChain side. So it's like, okay, well, if he's doing this with USDC, and I agree with Big K, even if it's just like pennies on the dollar, he'll still make out great. But hey, man, get really spicy. Why not? If he thinks Hex is the next better Bitcoin, why not gear up and dump it all into Hex before the fork? I don't know, fantasy, but that's fun to think about.
Maybe he's considering it. I'm sure he's got an allocation that he's planning on moving regardless, but you want to be careful of when you do that, especially when currently he's already sacked quite a bit, and isn't looking to lose his position by jacking the price up of Hex and having somebody else come along right now and potentially sack a lot more. So I don't know if that's the case. We won't see that until after this sacrifice phase is over, but I would love to see that happen. That would be, but there would be some folks selling down on that for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So you'd have to be kind of methodical, and if you ever went that route, the Hex route. But yeah, if you're thinking copies, if the pair holds parity, then who cares? Almost, obviously slippage sucks, but the parity would make up for so much. I think of if you had another copy that was probably going to be the dominant one, and your ETH Hex on Ethereum was still had a decent value, I guess. So lots of fun stuff to think about. So, excuse me. Let's see. Yeah, so I guess sticking with kind of PulseX, because we have our snazzy new logo up here in the upper right. How are we looking for launch? How do you see the launch being played out? Just in terms of similar, I guess, exchange tokens platforms, they tend to have this 2 to 3 month kind of dull, to down after launch, and then after about 90 days or so, kind of like the green flag drops and we're off to the races. Do we think that process will be sped up or similar, or the dip will be less with PulseX launch? You got to take on that defit, or
I'm not sure what to expect from a price perspective. Yeah, that's a great question. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. That history rhymes, and that's a good guess to look at competitors and see what they've done. But
it's a completely deflationary token that's launching too. So the supply is the supply.
That's true. Yeah. That's true.
That's something that you have to remember is very different in the sense that every one of these other tokens that have been the exchange tokens, or at least let's go with the big two that I'm thinking of, Uniswap and SushiSwap, right? Both of those two, that when they came out, had liquidity mining. Like when Uniswap was airdropped to people, right after that, they also opened a very short liquidity mining period, and same thing with SushiSwap. So there was a lot of people that were liquidity mining those tokens right out the gate. Sometimes on USD you see USDT pairings, for very little risk, that only had one incentive, which was to dump the price, So you can imagine that the price suffered for those first 3 months pretty dramatically because of that, relationship going on. I mean, whereas with PulseX, there's going to be another liquidity mining token that will take the heat from that out the gate, so it will start deflationary and stay that way. That is definitely different.
Peter Danis, why USDC and not DAI? Sacrifice addresses converted everything non-hex to DAI.
Personal preference, right? What's your exchange?
I mean,
what's your off ramp?
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have you have more risk, you have more counterparty risk with DAI than you do with USDC.
Totally, especially because it's backed by Tether, and I'm of the opinion that Tether is a fucking scam. So
yeah, at one point in time, it wasn't backed by a bunch of different shit. It was only backed by Ethereum, and now it is a whole bunch of garbage. You're just taking on a whole bunch of different risk when you take that on. I'm not saying it's not a decent stable coin, whatever, blah blah blah, but if you're trying to limit risk,
Circle as my counterparty, because they at least publish a quarterly report, and every US dollar coin is accounted for in a bank account, and they've been audited. Whereas Tether, those guys are they're like Coin Market Cap and CMC, they're impossible to find. They just don't even, they're ghosts, right? So that's a huge difference there. Circle's legit, in my opinion, in my jurisdiction where I live too.
Yep.
Happy New Year, Gomer. Good to see you.
A couple days late, but we'll take it.
Wave3, any thoughts, since we're talking price? I know we're going to talk charts here in a little bit, but just on the PulseX launch, do you have any view on how that could go? If it could be just kind of a sideways to down for a while, or since there are some different mechanics here at play, you think we could hold up better? What do you think?
Yeah, so I guess for price, I guess for the Hex price chart, it's looking really good comparatively to the rest of the market. We could pull up a chart as well if we want to start with Hex to start. So let's go to weekly charts.
My question, I guess, first was referencing, PulseX, the PulseX launch. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So for PulseX, I would say, I'd say for PulseX, I think it just kind of comes down to what that initial market size is, and whether, because there's the volume bonus, of course, for some of the bigger wallets, and then depending on what that initial market size, we still have yet to see whether some initial wallets are in profit based off that initial market size. So my guess is, since the liquidity is going to be really low, I wouldn't be surprised to see just a very short-lived run up, perhaps initially when the liquidity is really low. But I do think there is going to be a 60-day window where you see wherever the local top is, a 70 to 70% drawdown from wherever that is.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I think it just depends on where that initial, if the market size starts higher because to me it just boils down to what is the average USD value the person sacked at the time. So you can create an average across all the SAC addresses, and then depending on if that market is shifted above that initial average, then that could basically psychologically create areas some early people take profits, because there's people that take profits at 1.5x to 2x in crypto. It does happen. It happens a lot, specifically in a lot of coins, just due to people see
or airdrop hunters or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. So you do get profit taking pretty much every step of the way, and then I think it just kind of boils down to what that initial market size is. I guess to even go back on the speculation on the price run up, I think I'm going to sort of retract that and just wait to see what the market conditions are at launch and see what that initial market size is, and then start to speculate around it. Because right now it's we don't know what how big the initial liquidity is. We don't know what the average USD price is, and then what is that in relation to the average during the SAC phase. And then I think then it'll be much easier to speculate. Regardless, I do think the first 60 60 days or so, I do think there will be points where you can get a good deal and add to your existing positions if you want to accumulate more Pulse. So I'm looking more so during that window more from an opportunity standpoint, and because we don't know those initial market conditions, I'm just giving a wide, I'm giving a lot of time there so that I can, if I want to, I can add more coins. And if it starts significantly higher than that average USD per Pulse price, then great. Then just let the assets ride and let everybody else come in, start to speculate and help absorb some of that initial supply.
Yeah, and another dynamic here, and Motley has he's brought this up before. We have 2 coins basically that are going to launch right around the same time, and it's I guess almost 3 really if you count PHEX. But then you can, if you're not happy with your allocation within the ecosystem, you can swap, say, a Pulse for a PulseX or PulseX or Pulse or whatever, and kind of get the allocation that you want. So if one outperforms the other, maybe some people might be inclined to switch things around and try to get the better deal there. So it's just a yet another really interesting part of the game theory in all this. So all right, Big K, I think we're going to lose you here in a little bit, but before you go, my good man,
yes,
I did have a question for pairs on Pulse, and this is just opinion, but what do you think would be, I guess, some of the more incentivized pairs once we get to PulseX? So I would think certainly Hex, Hex and Hex on Ethereum is kind of like an obvious one. But are there others like USDC Hex, since we're talking USDC, PulseX and Pulse? Any others out there?
I mean, you're gonna definitely have the range of all of those ones. Every PulseX to Pulse to to E to Hex, E, like Hex on the PulseChain.
There's so many similar ones.
PulseChain to, so there's like 3 different coins. There are 4 different coins if we include the liquidity mining token, and then also whatever one the Hex that will be Ethereum Hex that'll be bridged over on there as well. So you're gonna have like 5 pairs right there that will all have various liquidity pairings. So there's that's all going to be you got to think of what are the most popular pairs on PulseX are most likely going to be the ones that the DAO votes to have a reasonable amount of rewards given to for liquidity mining. I mean, that's just by the nature of it. People are going to go where the money is. So if that's the case, then think about what coins are the most acceptable for DAOs to deal with, to put on there. It would be all 5 of the Hex, the Richard Hart coins, just to start. And then you think of what peripheral ones also make sense. Well, USDC, because most of our liquidity is bonded in it, whatever version of PUSDC is there, and then from there, it's going to be a smorgasbord of some other coins that actually have. You're going to have projects that are launching directly on Pulse itself. We know of a couple like Liquid Loans, that are already in development that will have their own, that will be doing their best to incentivize people to, create pairings on their own project. And those ones will be like the next rung because they're so heavily invested in Pulse that they will be, doing their very best to, increase their liquidity pools. So that will be the next level. And then they're going to have all these other tokens that there will be a few other ones that are incentivized to, have their ERC 20 projects being, be available on Pulse because their smart contracts will copy over and they'll be able, if somebody, there definitely, you can see in the test net that there are projects that are that are attempting to do some testing and on Pulse. So there will be front ends that will exist for other things. I'm not, I'm not sure exactly what yet and which ones will be successful or not, but that gets into the crazy speculation game of like, now you're, it's very risky stuff to be messing around with. But like, I mean, but you can already think that like, so I gave 5 coins plus another 6, 7 peripheral ones, USDT will probably be somewhere in there too, like that all, like that they're already pretty fractionally reserved. So like, why not have them be, like, it's like that you're going to already think like, just give yourself how do you do that in math? Like with a factorial with the explanation point. So like, that's a pretty much a good idea of how 7 factorial just to start out with, as far as how many, different pairs that you'll have to play around with possibly, so that's a lot of, exchange pairings, and a lot of transactions on Pulse and PulseX, and a lot of coins ideally, being removed from the the ecosystem every day, which is pretty cool.
Pretty darn glorious, if I might say so. DFED, I think Big K covered most there, but any other pairs that would be the most incentivized on your list?
He pretty much nailed everyone I could think of.
Yep.
And then even there may be some others. And I think the ERC20 pair versus the PRC20 pair from maybe some other coins might be incentivized to boost them up and make them at parity. Because
fight it out.
Yeah. Because that'll be the experiment, right? Is if you link the PRC20 to the ERC20 in trading pair, does it pull the values up together? And then if they might reach parity someday, like that's what I want to see happen. So
I mean,
cool.
it's an interest. It's going to be difference between parity, and it's going to be difference between which one is worth more. Who sees a lot of impairment loss along the way? There's a lot of interesting and dangerous like games to be played here. Be careful out there, everybody.
Yeah, I agree, Benny Blanco. What we have coming up here is going to be earth-shaking and epic. I cannot disagree with that. So it's going to be awesome. Let's see here. Oh, we have a new spam in the chat. Love face online strips without clothing. Hello. All right, admins, have at it there. And spam, yes. Thank you, Benny. Anyway, before Big K goes, we got to do a edition of our fun new weekly segment. And I'll just say, Big K, the fuck is this? Big K, you're muted.
That bear's getting doing Charlie Brown up that duck's ass. That's fantastic.
Thank you for that eloquent explanation. I appreciate it.
It's amazing stuff.
DFED, the fuck is this?
Oh, I mean, I think the Bitcoin bear is definitely bumping a line off of the duck's ass for sure.
Actually, I had not looked at it that way, so this is why we asked this question. So now I see it totally different. Yeah. Oh boy. Okay. Anyway. Yep. All right. Enough of that. Whew. Yes. Just chat. Thank you. Yep. Bear getting some tail. All right. Anyway. Recovery. All right. So I think that's about it for that.
This has been super fun, gentlemen. I might have to get out of here, but gosh, I cannot wait till next week. I might make you make me see me make a little pop onto Maddie's conference here as well. So, but that ding that you just heard means my time here sadly is up. But thank you, gentlemen, for sharing these fun moments with me, Cabana. Thank you for always giving me the softball questions. And
they weren't soft enough tonight, sir.
No, they weren't. It's off my game, but I appreciate it. And I hope everyone has a wonderful night.
You too, my man.
Thanks, Big K.
See you, Big K.
Yeah, Bear been watching DuckTales. It's one of my favorite shows as a kid. Ooh.
Classic.
Yes, exactly. Big K certainly did do well. I guess Wave 3, if you want to warm up the chart machine, we'll get that going because there's plenty of charts to talk about, not just Hex in particular, but just the overall crypto market. We're kind of like at a precipice on a couple of fronts there, and just looking at some other notes while you do those things.
Sure.
I want to refresh my beverage. Be right back.
All right, that's a good time to do that. And yeah, I think we pretty much covered mostly everything. While Wave 3's pulling those up there, I did want to plug next week's show. We're doing a show on Wednesday. I'm doing one with Blue Bum, and we're actually going to be talking with the lead developer, perhaps creator is the title of is it Hedron or Hedron? So it's a token, if you are staked in Hex and want to learn about something cool, we're going to talk a lot about it. I'm going to learn about it. I'm kind of going to sit back because Blue Bum knows a lot more about it than I do, but it's going to be a fun learning stream for me and hopefully the Hex community because it's actually built for the staking class pretty much initially. So that's Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern next week. So show plug there. I'll try to remember to plug that before the end of the show. Now to the porn.
All right, yeah, let's first start with the macro trend for Hex. So it's within its macro channel since it's began trading. So which is one observation. If you guys use the charts on TradingView, just be cautious with the initial candles because the prices shown here are actually not correct. So the data, at least off the initial weekly candles, is not accurate on TradingView. Do use Uniswap V1 if you want that higher accuracy. But basically, if you use Uni V1 charts, you end up getting a channel like so. And we're just doing more or less pretty much what we've always done. We're now back at the trend line support for this channel. So it's really impressive how long it's held this overall macro trend because holding a linear line on a log chart is like it's pretty ridiculous actually because you have to think every single time you do a 10x on a log chart, it gets in theory harder to make the next 10x because the market size is a lot larger. So it's having a very impressive run where it's just holding this linear trend line. So the price growth has been extremely aggressive, and I think there is a lot of merit to the speculation that's taking place around the PulseX sacrifice. There's obviously a lot of supply that's already gone into PulseX, so that does create supply sinks and significantly reduce the sell side pressure in the market at a later point in time. Now, since we are in the PulseX sac phase, there's of course the speculation around Overwatch. Sure, things can happen on a week-to-week basis. I'm mostly just looking at the growth from a macro trend. So I would say we've had a nice retracement since the peaks around 50 cents. If you have not bought Hex already, I would suggest using the PulseX sacrifice phase at least as an opportunity to start to build up those positions if you haven't done so already, because the retracements at least on Hex historically tend to be pretty short-lived if you just consider every single retracement we've had so far. The longest one we had was really this one, but this wasn't really a very extreme. So this is rather gentle, so it took a little bit longer to play out. Generally, whenever you have like a deep sell-off, you do bottom out faster. You actually do bottom out much faster whenever you have aggressive sell-offs. And so far, at least the move we've seen down since the peaks, this was a bit more steep compared to the first big move. So you could actually see bottoming out faster. It's definitely possible. The price is bottomed out at the wick here, close to the trend line support. So it's looking really good. I would say, since obviously the chart's going to keep evolving over time, generally, like holding linear uptrends in crypto is pretty amazing. So price performance has been really good, and I would say it's obviously achieved a lot over 2 years. I think at this point I do consider like, even though nobody's really talking about this, like I would start pushing the narrative that Hex is an anchor in the market, much like people perceive Bitcoin and Ethereum, because the price performance has been really good. So I do believe Hex has the potential to become that anchor and even flip Ethereum over the next 6 to 12 months. I mean, we'll see if this trend line holds as support, but so long as it does, with where Ethereum is at today, like if this trend line support holds, like Hex can very easily flip ETH over the next 6 to 12 months. Like, not financial advice, but it is possible, because
what's the top of that channel there? That's like Kinetics territory. Moon territory.
So the top of the channel this time around, this will put you around, depending on where you hit the top of the channel, you're basically looking at multi-dollar targets.
Boy.
Yeah, generally you actually want like a more gradual ascend up to higher price levels, because you do hit higher price targets as a result. Anytime you have like a really aggressive, explosive move, like if you did see something like this, you will see like sort of premature selling, because people, like when they see really big moves, it does sort of change like the mental psychology to some extent, as you kind of saw around big payday. So if you have a more gradual uptrend, it does lead to higher levels of price discovery, because you're over time, you have the fair market value shifting up, and then whatever peaks you have on a log chart also shift up, in theory, over time. So, I would say multi-dollar targets. I still say for 2022, I'm going to say basically $2 Hex sometime in 2022, and then we'll of course always go back and revisit these conversations to see which targets have held. So the models in the Hex community are really good. I think you guys also should check out some interesting models that Whales Only has. It puts another perspective on what's possible if you're looking at higher valuations, because I do use $1 to $2 as sort of my soft target as to where I could see prices end up landing. But it is possible to go actually higher, because we also have to consider that we are talking about the prices in a very pre-viral stage. Like if there is a significant surge as to mainstream discussions on Hex on very mainstream news outlets, that gets a lot more eyes and a lot more speculation into the market. So we have to consider that everything so far that has happened, this has resulted in a pre-viral stage, and the liquidity isn't very high. So some of these crazier price targets that are mentioned are, if you consider the liquidity that's there, you could see those price targets. And now this does segue into what the rest of the market's doing. So if we start with ETH, the uptrend on ETH it broke down. So the bull market support channel Ethereum's held for since March of 2020. This has broken down. I did give some room for error depending on the time frame you are analyzing, and the price levels blew through that plus whatever error. So it's objectively, at this point, this weekly candle is below the supporting bull market structure that Ethereum has held, and we are seeing the first breakdown on a weekly candle. There's the extremely, in my opinion, unlikely possibility that it could try to bounce back up. I don't, even if there's a bounce, I think it will get sold off. I do think Ethereum is going to revisit lower price levels. Where those price levels end up landing, all you can really do is sort of reference back to the structure that Ethereum tends to play out. There is some similarity with the run-up ETH has had comparatively to the one that took place in its first cycle, except this time around, since it's a lot heavier to lift the market, you could see that the angle of attack on the price chart is lower this cycle compared to that of last cycle, where it was much more vertical. So, there is a lot of similarities there. So I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, to see ETH revisit even levels. Like, people don't think these things are possible, but Ethereum can drop below $2,000 again. That is absolutely possible if you just consider the structure Ethereum is following now, it would be one hell of a shakeout. And then if you just consider what Ethereum has done previously, you know, it has had some pretty nasty moves to the downside, where it's pushed to a higher high, which it did actually on this wick over here, and then had a very steep sell-off that took it to its local bottom. So, you know, fractals tend to, things never really play out one-to-one. Like, things could play out this time around. I just use it more as a reference to see, you know, where the market psychology can take the price chart if you start to get a really bearish narrative. So, you know, I would say at this point, you know, I wouldn't be surprised to see ETH revisit the 2000s, and then it could even drop into the 1 to 2K region. And that's where, if you consider where, if you do a ratio of HEX to USD to ETH to USD, there is the potential that this could basically blast back up to basically the local peak. This I think it's about another 2x off, if I had to guess from here. There is some strength on this pair, relatively speaking, compared to that of Ethereum. Now, you should not be trading like the ratios between HEX and ETH, because this is basically more of a hindsight analysis that just tells you like, hey, here's the ratio. No, but there's not actually trading that takes place on the HEX to ETH pair. Most of that rolls through USDC. So if you are trying to trade, you know, this chart, you are definitely going to get wrecked, just being on the wrong side and probably losing your coins, buying back higher, blah 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 blah. But you know, it only takes about another 2x move on the HEX price chart to basically reclaim its prior peak, which was about 78%. At this peak, it was about 78% of Ethereum's market cap. So, you know, considering the downside that does exist on Ethereum, because it is there, like there is a lot of downside risk on Ethereum, it's very possible, like it, you know, if since HEX has already retraced from its local peak, it's still down, you know, close to 50%. Ethereum still has some room to fall further. So if you consider with what took place after the 50-cent peak, it dropped, you know, close to 60-70%, and then we're now basically just moving on a weekly chop going into the sacrifice phase, which is pretty similar to what took place again during the Pulse Sacrifice. So and the fact if Ethereum does drop into the 2000s, you know, it just makes it such that HEX can flip Ethereum at obviously like a lower price point on the HEX price chart. And I do think that is something market makers will be specifically watching, you know, what Ethereum does. I think it's pretty interesting seeing the God Whales wallet converting a lot of their ETH into USDC, because you know, when the God Whale sells, that's a lot of ETH that's sold into the market. Like, I get, you know, the market around Ethereum is much larger, but that is a lot of ETH that does ultimately go into the market. And then I think it's going to be really cool to see, you know, what, because this we could actually potentially be analyzing what's going to end up happening in a perceived like risk off scenario, because that's the speculation right now. We'll see if that narrative sticks, but I would love to see actually the results of that in a full-on risk-off scenario. Like, let's see basically the performance between everything, Bitcoin, ETH, HEX. The charts on Bitcoin and Ethereum are just objectively, they're in downtrend. Same thing for Bitcoin. We look at Bitcoin to USD, very clear downtrend here. So, you know, we'll see where this stops, but honestly, bounces at this point until there's a significant bounce that brings the prices back on Bitcoin and ETH back to levels where it can build up as support. I do think this is going to be a very choppy zone for a while, with still potential moves to the downside. Like Bitcoin can, you know, it can absolutely revisit this local low around, or right here, right around 30K. We'll see if it gets there one step at a time, as always. Like, if you're looking at this stuff on shorter time frames, 2 week on Bitcoin does not look good. This is a very ugly chart. I don't like this chart. Like, I don't like this pattern right now. The next 2 week candle opens on the 17th, but if this looks something like this, it's a very disgusting looking chart. This is a very bearish pattern. And generally, like, the patterns tend to the almost like the aesthetics of the pattern tend to be true oftentimes. in crypto, and this is disgusting. Like, I don't like this. So it's bearish for Bitcoin and Ethereum. There's really no other. If somebody else is telling you otherwise, it's just all fantasy storytelling. Like, the charts are bearish, risk is really high, and then we'll see basically where the price where the chart can sort of clean itself up, because that's ultimately what what I'm looking for as far as like the rest of the market. Where can Bitcoin and ETH sort of clean up their charts? They're both nasty looking charts right now. And then I'm more so just interested in honestly just basically keeping a close eye on HEX during this period of time. So it's looking good. Overall, the macro trend is really, really great. So, and I just like the fact that it's had at least a retracement. So that is a big advantage, is the fact that objectively, Bitcoin and Ethereum could still have some ways to go, and right now HEX is basically trying to figure out where its support floor is, but it's already at least had a nice retracement, of around 70% since its last local peak. So it's already sort of further ahead in its reaccumulation, in my opinion, just based off that fact alone. And I do think HEX will start to outpace Bitcoin and Ethereum again, of course, within the next 2 to 3 months, just based off how much supply is being sacked. So, but yeah, obviously what I'm saying, not financial advice, but mathematically, if you just look at the price performance, it's been extremely good for Hexkins over the last 2 years. And I don't think that's going to change in 2022. It's, to me, Bitcoin, ETH, and HEX are now my market anchors. HEX I consider a market anchor. And then for layer ones, Pulse and PulseX are now in my basically the top of my layer one brackets after those market anchors. So I'm looking forward to this entire ecosystem, because I do think it is going to basically steamroll pretty much everything again over the next 2 to 3 years. There's sort of a lack of appreciation when it comes to understanding or considering how damaging, if you consider other layer one ecosystems, what they're doing to actually fund their development is dumping their token into the market. Good example of this one is actually Tezos. So Tezos had a run in the market a while ago. It was the hot trend for a while. That trend died. And basically what's happening is the Tezos Foundation actually really dumps the fuck out of their own coin. They're selling
Shocking.
A substantial amount of their own coin to support whatever development is taking place on the network. But the problem is, if that capital is being abused, then you obviously kill whatever market size you have initially. And that's what a lot of these other competing chains also face these same issues. They have to manage that capital, because every layer one ecosystem that exists in the market today, so Matic, Tezos, whatever layer one ecosystem, they are selling coins to support their development. And the ones that sell too many coins are going to kill their price charts and kill the market around it. And that's it. It's going to become degenerates relative to the assets that perform well in this market. And a lot of people just don't they have this delusion where, they just have these really silly, there's just these really dumb narratives that come up in crypto, and people just end up getting attached to, one coin, and then don't consider everything else that's going on behind the scenes that they have absolutely no control over. And then they sort of just, they like to not consider it, because it ends up becoming opportunity cost, right? Whoever held onto some of those coins are now sitting with massive opportunity costs. They underperformed the ETH chart, which is huge opportunity cost. And then because they underperform the ETH chart, they massively underperform the HEX chart. So it starts to sort of amplify, the further and further, the further down you go. So I'm looking at HEX really killing it again in 2022.
Yeah, you mentioned the word anchor, and that brought this other Bitcoin chart I had to mind. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah. Anyway,
what it looks like.
Well, thank you for all those, man. Yeah, it's certainly just an interesting time right now, because I think we've discussed this even on your podcast. It's I was of the camp, I thought we were going to see 6 figures this Bitcoin cycle, and it's just a different dynamic. I don't see just this outright crash coming because we didn't really
Sure.
have this amazing blow off top this time.
Right.
So it's kind of like it has the feeling of like this could be just like a prolonged kind of just gonna chop everybody at the top end and lower end, and now we're going back down to the lower end.
Yeah.
So
I agree, and that's where ETH can even hold, you know, even if it dropped to, and this, it doesn't have to drop to this number, by the way. I'm just looking at what has taken place previously to at least give like some realistic sense. You know, Ethereum dropping to $1,800 to $2,000, and it doesn't, again, it doesn't have to drop this low, but that would still maintain an overall long-term bullish structure on the Ethereum chart, much like it did in its first cycle. So, you know, to lift up the market on Bitcoin and Ethereum this time around requires significant amounts of capital. It's a much bigger market. It requires more money. You see that with institutions coming in. It's getting drawn out. Like the time between moves is getting longer, and then everybody's like looking back at, you know, a snapshot in the markets when there wasn't this money here, and they're applying outdated, incorrect models, and then giving incorrect, like bad price targets, bad calls, and just bad judgment as to how long it is necessary to actually set up before going into the next wave. Like I do think we will see higher prices at some point for things like Bitcoin and Ethereum, but it's going to take longer. And and anybody that has at least been in this market up until this point, it's at a certain point, like you got to realize like the shit's just taking longer, and anybody that's just denying that is totally delusional. So
right.
It's just what it is.
Yep. I see the chat's like quite active, and yeah, I see a lot of talk about I guess Solana in chat. Did you know that Solana is a word of Spanish excuse me, Solana is a word of Spanish origin meaning sunlight. So it's accurate because that shit goes down once every day. So
yeah.
Anyway,
Sure.
I did have I've been meaning to get to this for like weeks now. So before we sign off for the evening, I guess we'll do the Cabana mailbag. Let's just knock these out one after the other. These are real comments from real viewers like you. Venus Love Factor, again, this is like weeks ago. So this was the Tobin Smith stream. Richard and Tobin would truly be epic, especially if Tobin has 2 New York martinis. Yes. So if you want Tobin Smith on that show, I think he's Tobin Smith on Twitter. If you want to get him and Richard together, I think it'd be just a fantastic conversation. Tobin's more of a traditional market guy. However, he is getting into crypto and trying to teach actually boomers about it. So I think that would actually be a great conversation to listen to there, and he knows a lot of wealthy people, so that'd be a pretty good one. Another Tobin Smith, love this interview. You should have him on more often. Actually, I hope to. He's actually doing a TV pilot in DC next week, but after he shoots that, and our old friend, I believe Cody Willard might be in on that as well. I'm not sure, but after he shoots that, I'll try to definitely have him on. Tap Life, dope ass show. Love the tips about Pulse fork launch. Stay back for 30 days after the fireworks. Yeah, we did see that. Just like kind of like the stay safe kind of thing, really. Don't get yourself wrecked. Let me see this guy. Hex and free fall already down 60% from all-time highs. Be sure to keep your shit coins while ETH and BTC rally. See ya. That turned out well, didn't it? Their flu Jory. That was from like a month ago or something like that. That's actually, I'm glad I'm like getting to these now, because who's wrecked now? My question is this: if Hex starts out at 0 on the Pulse network, could we potentially realize a 5,000x on our free PHEX copy? I mean, really, yeah, technically anything's possible, right? So it's like, it's gonna, I guess, start. Yeah, so anything up from 0 is like a high multiple. Where the price is going to go, I mean, some people have speculated that PHEX is going to far outperform EHEX. Don't know, but we shall see. This was a fun one from the Randy Hilarski stream. Serge Patchin says, "See you in court for all those copies diluting other holders on ETH network. Pulse will be a ghost chain too." Okay there, buddy. I don't think that's going to happen, but you run with that narrative. But Biffina, same stream. Randy's right. Hexkins wouldn't get out of bed for a 10 or 100x. Sell for what? For some other thing you have to watch all day. For a hot potato, for a ticking time bomb. I agree. I'm good. Some people live off their crypto, and that's cool. I just don't find it reasonable to consider selling an asset with product market fit within the first 10 years. That's a great take there. And the last one is from just Wednesday's stream. So we can actually both chime in on this if you want. This is more of like a opinion question, and really it depends upon the person's situation. But John, I told him I'd at least postulate this to the show, and it's just me and you now, Wave3. So, but could you talk about a smart staking strategy for 3 situations? The 25-year-old 9-to-5 job guy with 2,000 to play with, 10,000 to play with, and 100K to play with. So it's interesting to think about, right? Because everybody's situation is different. But I mean, if you're working 9 to 5, then that to me says you have fiat that you are stacking or that you can keep investing. So I would almost want to say if you had 2,000 to play with, stake that out the furthest, because you're going to earn the most on that, and you could start building back from there. Once you get into, say, 10,000, 100,000, I think you can build back closer to present day because you just have more disposable capital to invest. So maybe you do some shorter stakes because you have more to play with. You have any take on that there, Wave3?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. So if you have smaller amounts of capital, then you have to stake out further due to the gas fees on Ethereum, because you're getting more T-shares the further out you stake. And then the guy that has more capital, it scales based off the amount of capital you have. It's always going to be this way, by the way. In theory, like even after a couple of years, the same thing could even happen on PulseChain. Like it could end up being a very dominant chain. It gets a ton of volume, a lot of demand to use it. So there is value to the block space that is available on any network. So based off that, yeah, if you're coming in with smaller amounts of capital, stake longer, and then if you're coming in with larger amounts of capital, like 100K plus, then you have more leeway to do things on like a more of a rotating schedule. But I think at the end of the day, it doesn't. If you're looking for ROI performance, you generally get much better ROI performance on longer time frames, and that's true for everybody, regardless of how much capital you're coming into the market with. Now, with that being said, those amounts, as far as the staking, as far as what you can do with them, it's going to be different on PulseChain because the fees are going to be lower. So what I said is true for Ethereum, but for PulseChain, even coming in with $2,000 to $10,000, you will be able to set a more rotating staking ladder if you want to. So don't apply the logic I said to PulseChain. You will be able to do that differently on PulseChain and with more creative freedom.
Yeah, it's just a pump of mental in itself that's on its way. It's going to be so exciting because onboarding will be even easier. I know, a lot of guys pay for their onboards fees, but a lot of people can't do that if it's like word of mouth and you're a new Hexkin and you like what you have and you want more, and you tell a friend about it, and it's like, oh my gosh, but these ETH fees, and it's like you have to pay $40 to stake it. What? And then I think it's a big turnoff for some, which is totally understandable right now. So, all right, I think that almost wraps us up here. We have the HEX Virtual Conference tonight, day 2. So a lot of really awesome people tonight. So we got John Wick, Johnny Chaos, Motley, who was here earlier, Crypto Coffee. They're in a panel. We got Kareem's in there. Gunther the accountant is in there, so I'm curious to see if he has any updates to the audit. I'm really curious about that, actually, to see how recently updated that is with sacrifice amounts. I know that's going to change probably a lot within the next week to I'd say 5 weeks, I guess, maybe more. Once the OA is completed, whatever it does, if it does anything, I think it will. Compassion Cartel, so Buddy Crypto Heartbeat over there with that. The fourth panel, there in the middle of the screen. This is going to be really interesting. I'm curious to see how this plays out. You have Coach K, Eric Wall, Seth Estrada, and Nerd Girl, so it's kind of like the Descent panel. I'm very, very curious as to how that goes on. I think the one after that, the hour after that, with Discourse and Highest of Stakes, I know there's a lot of traveling going on with RG3 and company, so curious to see what happens with that, how it's filled in, or who's in on that. And then we have our Hex musicians. I think DJ Cryptomatic's in there. I think Corey. I can't name them all. Freddie, and then the hangout after. So it's going to be another really good night. And a lot of really interesting blocks of time here. Anything you see there, Wave3, that stands out for you?
Yeah, definitely. I'm very excited for Keynote 2. So highest of stakes documentary along with Discourse Syndicate. That's gonna be really cool. I know Discourse and Highest of Stakes. I think there's been a lot, a lot of people working together behind the scenes, and I'm pretty excited to learn more during that keynote. So, but I will be watching, most of basically pretty much the entire conference. Mostly just trying to onboard a few friends this evening, and then basically try to get as much of the conference, and then hopefully get back in time to watch most of it at least live.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting kind of thing there, is like you said, like watching it with an onboard or potential onboards. So I think it's like a selling feature, really, because like, hey, you kind of came in at the right time to see like this awesome community this weekend. You have like 80 hexagons in this whole thing, or 80 speakers at least. So, and yes, Wales, Furu's Furu panel got it right there. So yeah, thank you for the correction. Totally true. So that is 8 o'clock tonight. So that is less than 90 minutes from now. So that'll be over on Maddie Allen's channel there. And pretty much I think that takes us to the list that we had to get through. Just want to do a little pregame because I know it's a long night of content ahead. So this will give everybody a break and grab some food, grab some beverages, and then settle back in for what's going to be an awesome night with Motley, Johnny, Wick, Coffee, just the whole crew and the Furu panel, and yeah, lots going on. I think that's about it. Wave3, where can the audience find you? I think it's multiple places.
Yeah. There's a few places. Most common is Twitter, and then YouTube as well. So lots of 2022 is going to be a very active year with a lot of streaming. I've already basically publicly disclosed like core assets for 2022. Obviously, that's where pushing Hex, the narrative that Hex is a market anchor, I think is a great narrative just based off the price performance, where we stand, where the rest of the market is heading down right now. And I do think we are going to have a huge explosion alongside with PulseChain. So this is, from my view, like the number one ecosystem that I think a lot of people should keep a very close eye on, along with PulseChain, because the ROI potential is so high. And if you're just considering this, if you haven't already, if you're still on the sidelines, you are getting in at a good time when the market is basically at least in a at least comparatively to the rest of the market, that could still be going on for a while. But there has been a nice retracement on the Hex chart, and there's a ton of stuff going on with PulseChain. So I did sack much more for PulseX than I did for Pulse. I think at least I want to say at least like 5 times the amount that I did for Pulse. I'd have to go back and check the exact amount. So I will be, just to rebalance that a little bit, I'm not going to trade anything between Pulse and PulseX, but I do want to add more Pulse during that 60-day window. I kind of consider that a grace period.
That was my next question for you. So did you sack more for PulseX because you wished you had sacked more for Pulse, or is that just by design you just higher on PulseX?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the reason why I sacked more for PulseX is when I went back and looked at my position size. Like, so if I compare, let's say, what my share is, let's say, of Hex as a store of value, so you can calculate a percent that that each person owns in the network, and then if you compare that for Pulse and PulseX, I want to keep that same relative distribution, so that if you do use the staker class system, as far as your with like whales, squids, turtles, dolphins, if you use that same sort of model, you can determine what that same positioning represents in both Pulse and PulseX. So going back in hindsight, I realized I undersized for Pulse, and then to make up for that balance, I just oversized for PulseX, and then anything that's still needs to get adjusted like Pulse, I will just look at market buying and not really swapping between PulseX or Pulse, because I'm very bullish on both. Honestly, I don't really care which one has a higher ROI, because I just look at the whole ecosystem as moving in tandem. So I just want to have all the assets, and then basically use those as the market anchors within that ecosystem, because there are going to be a lot of temptations to try to increase your relative holdings. There's going to be a lot of shitcoin speculation on PulseChain, which this isn't a bad thing. This leads to a lot of speculative demand outside of just the Hex and Pulse community. And just from experience, most of those coins will not be able to keep up on longer time frames relative to the market performance of Hex, Pulse, and PulseX. So, if you do make any bets on any speculation, just make sure to use very small percent. Treat your Pulse and your PulseX as you would your Hex. So that is my recommendation, and just do things slowly, because those people generally tend to be much more profitable if you look at performance over anywhere from 6 months to multiple years at a time.
Yeah, and excuse me, with different things at play or on the horizon, like a liquid loans, which I'm looking into a lot, that could be another price boost or supporter for Pulse. So I'm definitely, it's one that I have my eye on, and I definitely want to. We're going to have one of the guys on here, I guess, in the coming weeks from that project to talk about, because I know the community is really interested in learning more. And, if it has anything to do with Hex or Pulse, we're not just, Hex exclusive and that's it. We like to touch on everything, because it has to, if it touches the ecosystem, I want to hear about it. I want to learn about it. And from a lot of the different shows I've seen, the late show with the Aussies, Kinetics to Stream, anytime, these, projects are brought up, chat is eager to learn about it. So with that being said, last show plug, Wednesday, we're going to talk to the guys on, or Alex from Hedron. He's the lead dev there. I think pretty much he's the guy that designed it. And Blue Bum is going to be with us here, and he's going to he knows way more than I do about it. So I'm going to pretty much, I'll host the show, but he's gonna, I guess, lead that conversation, and I'm gonna come with questions, and I'm sure the chat will too. So looking forward to that. That's Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern. And I saw a great idea here for tonight. Hexander, the intro should be played before the Furu panel, the Furu's eulogy. I think that would be really funny, actually. So I think that's what you were saying there. But yes, Hedron looks cool. Yeah, that's the thing. And Kinex has brought this up too. There's a lot at play here. So you can, Hexkins can, if you're staked, you can mint coins. If it gets, you go down the rabbit hole and taking loans out and stuff like that, that's not really my thing, but it's stuff I want to learn about. And I think we should all learn about it if you're even remotely, gonna, be dabbling in the project. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yep. All right. Well, I think that'll about do us. Again, hour and 15 minutes from now is day 2 of the HEX Virtual Conference. So a lot of really cool blocks coming up tonight. Mentioned them before. So Maddie's going to run that show. Thank you, chat, for pre-gaming with us. And we will see you next Wednesday and also likely Friday. So appreciate it. Love you guys. And thank you, Wave3, for sticking out till the end here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. See you
All
guys.
right.